Muscle growth is controlled by two opposing processes: muscle protein synthesis, MPS, and muscle protein breakdown, MPB. Muscle protein synthesis is the process where the body builds new muscle proteins using amino acids, which are derived from dietary protein. Muscle protein breakdown is the process where existing muscle proteins are degraded and recycled. Net muscle growth occurs only when MPS exceeds MPB over time. Resistance training stimulates MPS by creating mechanical tension and microscopic damage to muscle fibers. This signals the body to repair and reinforce those fibers, making them thicker and stronger. However, this process requires a sufficient supply of amino acids, especially essential amino acids that the body cannot produce on its own. Leucine is a key amino acid that acts as a trigger for initiating MPS. Dietary protein intake directly influences this balance. Consuming protein increases amino acid availability in the bloodstream, which enhances MPS and reduces MPB. Without adequate protein intake, the body may remain in a negative protein balance, meaning MPB exceeds MPS, resulting in muscle loss. The timing and distribution of protein intake also matter. Spreading protein evenly across meals helps maintain repeated stimulation of MPS throughout the day, rather than relying on a single large intake. Daily protein intake determines whether the body has enough amino acids to support muscle repair, recovery, and growth. Protein is broken down into amino acids during digestion, which are then used to build and repair muscle tissue. For individuals engaged in resistance training, protein requirements are significantly higher than for sedentary individuals due to increased muscle protein turnover. Scientific evidence consistently shows that an intake of approximately 1.6 to 2.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day maximizes muscle protein synthesis for most individuals. Intakes below this range may limit muscle growth, while intakes above this range generally provide no additional benefit for muscle gain, but may still be useful during calorie deficits to preserve lean mass. Protein quality also matters. High-quality protein sources contain all essential amino acids in sufficient amounts. Animal-based proteins such as meat, eggs, and dairy are considered complete proteins. Plant-based sources can also be effective, but may require combining different foods to achieve a complete amino acid profile. Distribution across the day affects efficiency. Consuming moderate amounts of protein every 3 to 5 hours supports repeated stimulation of muscle protein synthesis. Large, infrequent protein meals are less effective at maintaining this process. During calorie restriction, higher protein intake helps reduce muscle protein breakdown and supports lean mass retention. Total calorie intake determines whether the body gains, loses, or maintains weight. A calorie surplus occurs when energy intake exceeds energy expenditure, leading to weight gain. A calorie deficit occurs when energy expenditure exceeds intake, leading to weight loss. These principles are governed by energy balance, which is the relationship between calories consumed and calories burned. For muscle growth, a calorie surplus is typically required. This provides the additional energy needed to support muscle protein synthesis and recovery processes. However, excessive surplus leads to unnecessary fat gain. A controlled surplus, often around 5 to 15% above maintenance calories, allows for gradual muscle gain while limiting fat accumulation. For fat loss, a calorie deficit is necessary. The body compensates for reduced energy intake by mobilizing stored energy, primarily from fat tissue. However, aggressive deficits can increase muscle protein breakdown, leading to loss of lean mass. Maintaining a moderate deficit helps preserve muscle while promoting fat loss. Body recomposition refers to gaining muscle and losing fat simultaneously. This is more likely in beginners, individuals returning after a break, or those with higher body fat levels. It requires careful management of calorie intake, sufficient protein, and consistent resistance training. Energy expenditure includes basal metabolic rate, physical activity, and the thermic effect of food, all of which influence how many calories the body requires. Macronutrients are the 3 primary nutrients that provide energy: protein, carbohydrates, and fats. Each plays a distinct role in bodybuilding nutrition, and their ratio affects performance, recovery, and body composition. While total calorie intake determines overall weight change, macronutrient distribution determines how effectively those calories support muscle growth and fat control. Protein provides amino acids necessary for muscle repair and growth. It should be prioritized first, typically set within the range required to maximize muscle protein synthesis. Once protein needs are met, carbohydrates and fats are adjusted based on performance demands and individual response. Carbohydrates are the body's preferred energy source during resistance training. They are stored as glycogen in muscles and the liver. Adequate carbohydrate intake supports training intensity, volume, and recovery. Low carbohydrate intake can reduce glycogen stores, leading to decreased performance and slower recovery. Fats are essential for hormone production, including testosterone, and for supporting overall health. However, excessive fat intake can reduce carbohydrate availability, which may negatively impact training performance. There is no single optimal macronutrient ratio for everyone. A common approach is to set protein first, maintain sufficient fat intake for hormonal function, and allocate remaining calories to carbohydrates to support training demands. Adjustments are made based on goals, such as muscle gain, fat loss, or maintenance. Carbohydrates are broken down into glucose, which is used for immediate energy or stored as glycogen in muscle and liver tissue. Muscle glycogen is the primary fuel source during resistance training, especially during moderate to high-intensity efforts. The availability of glycogen directly affects strength, endurance, and training volume. When glycogen stores are full, muscles appear fuller and can perform at higher intensities for longer periods. When glycogen is depleted, fatigue occurs more quickly, reducing performance and limiting the effectiveness of training sessions. Carbohydrate intake replenishes glycogen stores after training. This process is known as glycogen resynthesis. Consuming carbohydrates after exercise helps restore energy levels and prepares the body for subsequent workouts. The rate of replenishment depends on the amount and type of carbohydrates consumed. Insufficient carbohydrate intake can lead to chronic low glycogen levels, resulting in decreased performance, increased fatigue, and impaired recovery. This can negatively affect long-term muscle growth. Carbohydrates also influence water retention in muscle tissue. For every gram of glycogen stored, several grams of water are stored alongside it. This contributes to muscle fullness and body weight fluctuations. The amount of carbohydrates needed varies depending on training intensity, frequency, and total calorie intake. Dietary fats are essential nutrients that support hormone production, cellular structure, and overall physiological function. In bodybuilding nutrition, fats play a critical role in maintaining hormonal balance, particularly the production of testosterone, which is a key hormone involved in muscle growth, recovery, and strength development. Fats are composed of fatty acids, which are categorized into saturated, monounsaturated, and polyunsaturated fats. Each type contributes differently to health and hormone regulation. Cholesterol, derived partly from dietary fats, serves as a precursor for steroid hormones, including testosterone. If fat intake is too low, hormone production can be negatively affected, potentially reducing muscle-building capacity and recovery efficiency. A minimum fat intake is required to maintain proper endocrine function. Research suggests that consuming approximately 20 to 30% of total daily calories from fat supports hormonal health for most individuals. Extremely low-fat diets can lead to reduced testosterone levels, decreased energy, and impaired recovery. However, excessive fat intake can displace carbohydrates in the diet. Since carbohydrates are the primary fuel source for resistance training, too much fat may reduce glycogen availability and negatively impact performance. Fat digestion is slower compared to carbohydrates and protein, which means fats provide a steady source of energy but are not ideal as a primary fuel source during high-intensity training. Balancing fat intake ensures hormonal stability without compromising training performance or recovery. Meal timing refers to when nutrients are consumed throughout the day and whether specific timing strategies enhance muscle growth and recovery. The concept of the anabolic window suggests that there is a short period immediately after training during which nutrient intake is critical for maximizing muscle protein synthesis. However, current evidence shows that this window is not as narrow or time-sensitive as previously believed. Muscle protein synthesis is elevated for several hours after resistance training, and its duration depends on factors such as training intensity, protein intake, and overall nutrition. Consuming protein within a reasonable time frame before or after training ensures that amino acids are available to support this process. The exact timing is less important than total daily protein intake and distribution. Pre-workout nutrition helps provide energy for training. Consuming a meal containing protein and carbohydrates a few hours before exercise supports performance and reduces muscle protein breakdown during the workout. Post-workout nutrition contributes to recovery by replenishing glycogen stores and providing amino acids for muscle repair. While immediate intake is not mandatory, delaying protein and carbohydrate consumption for extended periods may slow recovery. Overall, consistent nutrient intake throughout the day, with balanced meals containing protein, carbohydrates, and fats, is more important than focusing on a narrow post-workout window. Nutrient timing refers to the strategic consumption of protein, carbohydrates, and fluids around training to support performance, reduce fatigue, and improve recovery. This is divided into 3 phases: pre-workout, intra-workout, and post-workout nutrition. Pre-workout nutrition prepares the body for training by supplying energy and amino acids. A meal consumed 1 to 3 hours before exercise typically includes carbohydrates and protein. Carbohydrates increase blood glucose and replenish glycogen stores, which supports training intensity. Protein provides amino acids that help reduce muscle protein breakdown during exercise. Intra-workout nutrition is relevant primarily for long or high-intensity training sessions. During prolonged exercise, glycogen stores begin to decline and fatigue increases. Consuming easily digestible carbohydrates during training can help maintain blood glucose levels and delay fatigue. In most standard resistance training sessions under 60 to 90 minutes, intra-workout nutrition is not necessary if pre-workout nutrition is adequate. Post-workout nutrition focuses on recovery. After training, the body is in a state where muscle protein synthesis is elevated and glycogen stores are partially depleted. Consuming protein provides amino acids needed for muscle repair, while carbohydrates replenish glycogen stores. This supports recovery and prepares the body for future training sessions. The effectiveness of nutrient timing depends on total daily intake. Proper timing enhances performance and recovery, but it cannot compensate for insufficient overall nutrition. Insulin is a hormone released by the pancreas in response to rising blood glucose levels, primarily after carbohydrate consumption. Its primary function is to regulate blood sugar by facilitating the uptake of glucose into cells, including muscle cells. In the context of bodybuilding, insulin plays a role in nutrient transport and storage. When insulin is released, it promotes the uptake of glucose into muscle cells, where it is stored as glycogen. This process supports energy availability for future training. Insulin also facilitates the transport of amino acids into muscle cells, which contributes indirectly to muscle protein synthesis by increasing the availability of building blocks required for repair and growth. Insulin has an anti-catabolic effect, meaning it reduces muscle protein breakdown. However, it is not the primary driver of muscle growth. Muscle protein synthesis is primarily stimulated by resistance training and sufficient protein intake, particularly the presence of essential amino acids. Excessive insulin spikes do not lead to additional muscle growth. Consuming large amounts of simple carbohydrates with the goal of maximizing insulin response does not significantly enhance muscle protein synthesis beyond what is achieved with adequate protein intake. Chronic excessive calorie intake, especially from carbohydrates and fats, can lead to consistently elevated insulin levels, which may promote fat storage. Effective use of insulin in bodybuilding involves maintaining balanced carbohydrate intake to support performance without excessive energy surplus. Bulking refers to a dietary phase where calorie intake is intentionally increased above maintenance to promote muscle growth. The body requires additional energy to support muscle protein synthesis, recovery, and training performance. However, the size of the calorie surplus determines how much of the weight gained is muscle versus fat. A traditional or dirty bulk involves a large calorie surplus with minimal control over food quality. This often leads to rapid weight gain, but a significant portion of that gain is body fat rather than muscle. Excess energy that is not used for muscle growth is stored as fat, making this approach inefficient and requiring longer periods of fat loss afterward. Lean bulking uses a controlled calorie surplus, typically around 5 to 15% above maintenance. This provides enough energy to support muscle growth while minimizing fat accumulation. Weight gain during lean bulking is slower, but the proportion of muscle gained relative to fat is higher. This approach allows for better body composition over time and reduces the need for aggressive cutting phases. Training performance is a key indicator during a bulk. Strength progression, increased training volume, and improved recovery suggest that the surplus is sufficient. If body weight increases too rapidly without corresponding performance improvements, the surplus is likely excessive. Food quality also plays a role. Nutrient-dense foods provide vitamins, minerals, and macronutrients that support overall health and muscle function, whereas highly processed foods may contribute to excess calorie intake without supporting performance. Cutting is a dietary phase where calorie intake is reduced below maintenance to promote fat loss. The challenge during a cut is to reduce body fat while preserving lean muscle mass. This requires careful management of calorie intake, protein consumption, and training intensity. A moderate calorie deficit, typically around 10 to 25% below maintenance, is effective for fat loss while minimizing muscle loss. Larger deficits increase the risk of muscle protein breakdown, as the body may use amino acids for energy when insufficient calories are available. Protein intake becomes more critical during a cut. Higher protein consumption helps preserve muscle by supporting muscle protein synthesis and reducing muscle protein breakdown. It also increases satiety, making it easier to adhere to a reduced calorie intake. Resistance training must be maintained during a cut. Continuing to lift weights provides the stimulus needed to retain muscle. Reducing training intensity or volume too drastically can signal the body that muscle tissue is no longer needed, increasing the likelihood of muscle loss. Cardiovascular exercise can be used to increase calorie expenditure, but excessive cardio combined with a large calorie deficit can accelerate muscle loss. Balancing diet and activity is essential. Recovery is also affected during a calorie deficit. Reduced energy intake can impact sleep, hormonal balance, and training performance, all of which influence muscle retention. Metabolism refers to the total number of calories the body uses to sustain life and perform activities. It is made up of several components: basal metabolic rate, BMR, which is the energy required to maintain basic bodily functions at rest; physical activity, including both exercise and daily movement; and the thermic effect of food, which is the energy used to digest and process nutrients. During a calorie deficit, the body undergoes metabolic adaptation, also known as adaptive thermogenesis. This is a survival mechanism where the body reduces energy expenditure in response to decreased calorie intake. BMR can decrease, physical activity may unconsciously decline, and hormonal changes can occur that increase hunger and reduce energy output. As body weight decreases, energy requirements naturally decline because a smaller body requires fewer calories to maintain. However, adaptive thermogenesis goes beyond this expected reduction and can make continued fat loss more difficult over time. This is why weight loss often slows or plateaus even when calorie intake remains low. Hormones such as leptin, which regulates hunger and energy balance, decrease during prolonged dieting. Lower leptin levels can increase appetite and reduce metabolic rate. Thyroid hormones, which influence metabolism, may also decrease, further slowing energy expenditure. To manage these adaptations, strategies such as gradual calorie reductions, diet breaks, or refeed periods can be used. Maintaining resistance training and adequate protein intake also helps preserve lean mass, which supports a higher metabolic rate. Dietary supplements are used to support nutrition, but their effectiveness varies widely. In bodybuilding, only a small number of supplements have strong scientific evidence supporting their benefits. The most reliable supplements include protein powder, creatine, and caffeine. Protein powder is a convenient way to increase daily protein intake. It provides essential amino acids required for muscle protein synthesis, especially when whole food intake is insufficient. Whey protein is rapidly digested, while casein protein is digested more slowly, providing a sustained release of amino acids. Creatine monohydrate is one of the most researched supplements. It increases the availability of phosphocreatine in muscles, which helps regenerate adenosine triphosphate, ATP, the primary energy source for short, high-intensity activities. This can improve strength, power output, and training performance, leading to greater muscle growth over time. Caffeine acts as a central nervous system stimulant. It increases alertness, reduces perceived effort, and can enhance endurance and strength performance. This allows for higher training intensity and volume. Many other supplements, such as fat burners, testosterone boosters, and proprietary blends, lack strong evidence or provide minimal benefits compared to proper nutrition and training. Supplements should be used to complement a well-structured diet, not replace it. Hydration refers to maintaining adequate fluid balance in the body to support physiological functions and exercise performance. Water is essential for nutrient transport, temperature regulation, joint lubrication, and cellular processes. In the context of resistance training, hydration directly affects strength, endurance, and recovery. Muscle tissue is composed largely of water, and proper hydration supports optimal muscle function. During exercise, the body loses water through sweat, which also contains electrolytes such as sodium and potassium. These electrolytes are critical for nerve signaling and muscle contractions. When fluid and electrolyte levels drop, performance declines due to reduced blood volume, impaired thermoregulation, and decreased muscle efficiency. Even mild dehydration, defined as a loss of approximately 1 to 2% of body weight in fluids, can negatively impact strength, endurance, and cognitive function. As dehydration progresses, fatigue increases, coordination decreases, and the risk of muscle cramps may rise. Hydration also influences muscle appearance. Adequate water intake supports cellular hydration, contributing to muscle fullness. In contrast, dehydration can lead to a flatter appearance and reduced performance. Fluid needs vary based on body size, activity level, and environmental conditions. Consistent fluid intake throughout the day, along with replacing fluids lost during exercise, helps maintain optimal hydration status. Electrolyte intake may be necessary during prolonged or intense training sessions.